Hi. My spirit name is Blue Sky Thunderbird Woman, and I come from the clan of the Bee, which is a working clan. I'm a Cree Métis, and I am out of St. Paul, but originate out of the north in Fort Mac. My culture is very, very important to me, and being a woman is also very important because women are the backbone of the family and the community. Those are the ones that bring forward life and nurture that life and teach all the teachings and how to be a woman. And a lot of our young women grow up outside of our families, and colonization and the residential school systems and many other forces have created dysfunction, if you want to use that word, in our families. And a lot of us as women didn't know our sacred role as women growing up until we were older. And that's true for me. I train my daughters and my granddaughters and any other young girl I get a chance to talk to about how sacred our life is and how important it is to walk in a good way and to walk with pride and respect for yourself and to demand respect from others, because it's not always there. In that whole process of colonization and the residential school, the men too have been wounded, and they need to go through a healing process as we do to reclaim who they are as the male warriors in our societies. And that's not only Aboriginal, that's for all men and for all women, because we got sidelined back years and years ago, and it's harder to live and walk in a good way than it is to live and walk with alcohol and drugs and violence and racism and prejudice. It's harder to walk with kindness and caring and respect for yourself and those around you. But the challenge is to be able to do that and to be true to your own self. We've lost many, many young girls, and I was looking at their pictures over the last few days and looking at some of the stories that I've put together for other groups and for other gatherings. And when I look at them, you know, a lot of our young women didn't have a chance. They grew up in foster care. They grew up leaving their homes at a very young age because their homes weren't protective to them. A lot of them hit the streets at 12, 13, 14 years old, not by choice, but to so-called survive. What they escaped was as bad as what they went to. But the alcohol and drugs steal your spirit and steal your ability to be able to have that pride and that strength and the caring. And many of us, I'm an alcoholic. I've been sober 35 years. I sobered up so that I could have a good life and I could give my children a good life. And it wasn't easy. More people tried to pull me down than to help me up. And I had to fight, and I'm glad I fought. And I try to share that with other people because it's one of the keys to success that we kick the alcohol and drugs and reclaim our path. And we can't do that if our mind and our spirit are confused with alcohol and drugs. Because with that alcohol and drugs comes all the other darkness, the violence, the racism, all how we treat each other, we drag each other down. Nobody has a good thing to say about anybody else, but we look for faults and we pick you apart. And when we start to heal and scab over, we'll pick that off too, until we get our lives straight and we reclaim our spirit. And we reclaim our ability to respect ourselves first and those around us. I always pray for all the families of those that have lost their loved ones, those young girls. I always think of seeing kids like Rachel Quinney laughing around the streets of St. Paul, laughing and teasing and poking people and giggling away and hiding on us and stuff like that, and how that every death leaves such a big hole in our hearts in our families, in our communities, and in our nation. Because who knows what that child, that young woman, or that young man would have brought to this world. Because I'm sure that Louis Riel's mother didn't know who she was raising when he was crawling around the dirt in his log cabin. I'm sure that John A. Macdonald's mother didn't know that he'd be the Prime Minister of Canada when he was running around in the dirt in his log cabin. We never know what these lives we bring forward are going to be and contribute to the mosaic of our family, our country. We never know. And so we have to treat each life in a precious way, because that precious way is what's going to help them to find that path, the path of respect and honor, and the path of reaching and being able to achieve the goals that they need to have that good life, just like each of us. And I'm really glad that each of you came out. There's been many. We went to a gathering in Cape Breton, 400 women, to talk about this and what we can do. And there was a big division about inquiries, the importance of an inquiry, or the importance of investing in prevention and proactive kinds of things for our young people. And you know, that's a really interesting question, because an inquiry is going to be dollar heavy, and then it'll be shelved on a shelf. But if we invest proactively and in prevention, we might be able to save the lives of some of our young people. So, you know, we really have to think that, and it's us grandmothers and mothers, aunties, sisters, the fathers or uncles and grandfathers that have to start getting vocal about those losses and about what we can do to stop losing those lives that are being lost every day. 2 in the last few weeks again. And you know, those families are reeling. Our communities are saturated with grief. People aren't even able a lot of times to respond to how they feel about another loss, because they are overwhelmed with grief, and we don't have enough people to be able to get out there and help everyone with their healing. And some don't even recognize they need healing, because we were taught not to show how we feel. And we need to start showing how we feel. I'm angry, I'm hurt, I have a big hole in my heart. I've had losses this last while. And you know, my niece in Winnipeg started a march, and she's still going. It's her 5th or 6th year. My other niece in Maple Ridge, BC just started. She had about 30 people show up for her first march in Maple Ridge, and she was scared spitless. Yesterday when I talked to her, and I said, it doesn't matter. If there's only you, you can still walk. And somebody is going to notice. But she had 25, 30 people there. That's about believing. That's about believing. Her daughter is young. Her daughter has been fighting to stop advances because she's very beautiful when she walks home at night after work. Her mother was abducted and raped and thrown away in a gravel pit and left for dead, I guess, because the guy just took off with her van. And she survived, but she was never the same. And the guy still hasn't been brought to justice. They said they DNA tested him and he was a match, but he still hasn't been charged. That's 20 years. 20 years! And nothing's happened. She's gone to the spirit world, and she took her horror with her. But we're fighting to make sure that it doesn't get forgotten. We still are on the Calgary Police. We're still making noise and making sure that it's not forgotten, because that's what we can do. Those of us that are here, when somebody ticks us off, we can have real big mouths. Well, let's put those big mouths to productive work, is what I always say, because we do. We all have them. and we're very mouthy about things that tick us off. So let's get mad about the missing and murdered women and girls. Get mad about the missing and murdered men and boys. Get mad at those people who practice racism and prejudice and discrimination. And be vocal about it. We don't have to act in a mean way. We just have to be vocal in productive ways.